All right, guys, welcome to Real Conservative, where we are looking at pop culture and entertainment through a conservative lens because honestly, the left has lost their minds. So we want to look through things through a conservative lens just to make sure we can keep things kind of grounded in some sort of reality. And I am your tour guide through that mystical, magical maze of left wing Hollywood. But I'm here for you. I'm going to show you how to get through it. We'll get through it together and we will learn to understand what is going on and where the culture is going. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Drake lawsuit. Everyone's all talking about it. You guys, if you haven't been up on this situation, Kendrick Lamar and Drake have been basically in a rap battle where they were just at one point in time, about 8 months or so, were just releasing back to back diss tracks. Okay. And in the final blow, I guess you could say, Kendrick Lamar released a song where he said some pretty inflammatory things about Drake. And let's just say they involve things like having your way with people who perhaps aren't of the proper age. And this definitely took the situation to a whole new level. Prior to that, the disses had been pretty conventional. There was some jabs back and forth, but nothing really coming into the neighborhood of where it eventually would go once Kendrick made the song "Not Like Us." In this song, he goes on to repeatedly make these references about Drake, and in one line in particular, he's mimicking a Drake album title called "Certified Lover Boy." Well, Drake changes that. Oh, I'm sorry. Kendrick Lamar uses that reference and spins it in his rhyme to certified PDF. And this is what really caused the whole uproar. I mean, even among reaction videos, that was the line that really had people throw their hands up and say, oh, this thing's over. A lot of people themselves couldn't believe that that statement was made. However, for some reason, there's this unwritten rule that in hip hop, you get to say whatever you want as long as it's within the context of a battle. You're just free to say whatever you feel like comes out of your mouth, and it's particularly acceptable for some reason to just say whatever you want. And there's no rules or guide or borders, But I digress. Um, this was said, and Drake was pretty upset about it. Not to mention, lots of money, I'm sure, was lost in this reference. I mean, anytime someone is labeled that, they're going to lose money and they're going to lose status. So, on that note, I do definitely see where Drake was coming from. I don't actually disagree with the fact that that may have been a little bit too far and that some type of compensatory damages may be in order. I mean, sure, it was a rap battle, sure, sure, you can say Kendrick won it, but that doesn't mean that basically a civil crime didn't occur. It doesn't mean that Drake was wrong in his actions. So we're going to leave that for another day because that's still being worked out. But what we're going to cover right now is Drake's deal is up for renegotiation in 2025 and other revelations from this lawsuit against Universal Music. And the reason why we're covering this and we're not covering a Kendrick Lamar and Drake defamation lawsuit is because Drake hasn't actually sued Kendrick Lamar. He's actually sued BMG, the record label, the distribution network that was actually assigned to get this record out. He's Drake is saying you guys cheated. Um, he's had several complaints. Basically, one being you played a record through means of payola, which means that you paid other people to promote this record harder than you would have otherwise done so, and doubled by the fact that you're promoting a song that slanders me. So Drake has a couple of different angles he's pointing out with this lawsuit. Is that, hey, number one, you used the legal means to promote the record. Number two, this record defames me, and you knew that when you promoted it, and you allowed for millions and millions of people to hear in their radios over and over again this falsehood, which again, I don't have a problem with if that's Drake's true intent is to clear his name because honestly, if he hadn't, a lot of people in the hip hop community would be saying, well, why isn't Drake standing up for himself? Why isn't he fighting this? If it was me, I don't would let nobody call me no PDF. So Drake's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't in this case. So we can talk about that again as that develops. But right now, what we have in front of us is more details about the lawsuit itself, and actually what the real reason, at least from a business end, some people feel that Drake has dropped this lawsuit, and it doesn't have necessarily much to do with Kendrick Lamar. Another reason why people theorize that he may not be suing Kendrick Lamar is because this isn't really about Kendrick Lamar. This is about money. This is about Drake and his renegotiation of his contract. You guys may recall a few years back, Drake signed a contract worth like 400 million dollars, and it's time for that to be renegotiated. So a lot of people are saying, well, Drake, he put this lawsuit against BMG so that because he could see what they were going to do, that their move was to intentionally play this record, to intentionally deflate Drake's wealth, so that when it came time to get back to the negotiating table, Drake wouldn't have as much leverage, and he'd have to take millions and millions of in losses based on the fact that his name is no longer worth what it was. See, here's why I say I'm all for it if you want to fight for your name, because eventually, at some point, he's going to have to anyway. He might as well make the first move. Okay. But let's go into the article a little bit and see how it breaks down what Drake is really ultimately after, at least according to this article. It says MBW explains in a series of analytical features in which we explore the context behind the major music industry talking points and suggest what might happen next. So this what this website's all about. So I quote from only reliable sources. You see what I'm saying? But it says last week, the rapper Drake withdrew a legal petition against Spotify and Universal Music Group, or UMG, parent company of Republic, the label to which Drake is signed, in which he alleged a payola scheme and the use of bots to artificially inflate the popularity of Kendrick Lamar's diss track "Not Like Us," which I just told you in the intro. Um, it goes on to say that UMG released a statement, in counter to that. Once Drake actually went into legal action, they say not only are these claims untrue, but the notion that we would seek to harm the reputation of any artist, let alone Drake, is illogical. At least that's what they're saying. A UMG spokesperson said. UMG spokesperson added, "We have invested massively in his music, and our employees around the world have worked tirelessly for many years to help him to achieve this historic commercial and personal financial success." Well, as a business person myself, I can tell you, no one just gives you money. If UMG was giving Drake money, believe me, it was an investment. It was because they fully expected to make that back and a lot some. Not then some, but a lot some. So they expected to make a lot back, in other words, on what they invested into Drake. So it's a partnership. It's not like they can just claim that they gave Drake money and now he's biting the hand that feeds them. No, this is how it's done in the industry, guys. It's mutual. They wouldn't have an artist to promote if they didn't have Drake. So it's one hand washing the other right from the start. A lot of rappers, they didn't realize their worth initially, and would sign anything and just be grateful to have a deal. And these record labels, as you can see, still feel like they're doing you the favor. And so this is something that I think that we all need to stand up against a little more and let these record companies know, hey, we're part of the equation, man. We're not just the labor, but we're part of the product. So um, again, this stuff gets down into the weeds. It's a really a business deal situation more than it is a rap battle. And I think that's what this is going to start to eventually transition to. We're going to be talking a little bit less about the rap battle and more about the financial and legal consequences of all of this stuff. Okay, so he goes on to say, this is UMG's. This is how they finish the statement. They really get into it. They say, throughout his career, Drake has intentionally and successfully used UMG to distribute his music and poetry, to engage in conventionally outrageous back and forth rap battles, to express his feelings about other artists. Now, to me, if rap battles are so pivotal to the hip hop community, how come no one stood up when UMG called it conventionally outrageous? I mean, if this is supposed to be what fires up a hip hop crowd and what gets people juices going, I think it's kind of offensive that UMG would label this conventionally outrageous when they make so much conventionally outrageous money from these rap battles. I think it kind of throws both artists under the bus. I mean, what was Kendrick Lamar doing? He was engaged in a rap battle too. And by the way, these people are both signed to this same company. So this is they're both of their artists that they both make money off, no matter who wins the so-called rap battle, right? So to call it outrageous, conventionally outrageous back and forth, to me is a bit harsh considering this outrageous, unconventional back and forth has made you so much money. It says, we have not and do not engage in defamation against any individual. At the same time, we will vigorously defend this litigation to protect our people and our reputation, as well as any artists who might directly or indirectly become a frivolous litigation target for having done nothing more than write a song. Oh, that's all Kendrick Lamar did. He did nothing more but write a song. This thing was an anthem, okay? This thing was played everywhere and pumped everywhere. And I even questioned, why is this song everywhere? I mean, popular song is one thing, but a song that you hear whether you like it or not is totally something else. I mean, this is something that somebody I think said, play this song. But I'm not a part of this. From what I understand, it goes on quite a bit anyway. I think the thing about Drake in this situation is that we've entered a new phase when it's being used to spread defamation. And that's Drake's whole argument is that, yeah, it goes on, but now we've entered a new phase where record labels are so cocky, they're so arrogant that, they really just look the other way while, their artists say whatever. Like I said, apparently there are no rules to battles these days. So say whatever you got to say as long as that money comes our way. And Drake is letting them know. And I think he's right to target them first because they're the first that need to be made aware that, you know, they're just playing us. They're just sitting back while black on black crime happens and these two brothers take each other out, hopefully. I mean, they would care less. They'll just be looking for the new artist, the next best new artist next year. That's how record labels look at it. They'll just be back on TikTok once Kendrick Lamar and Drake take each other out. They'll just be back on TikTok looking for the next big thing. Okay. So I don't give them a pass at all. Everybody's been jumping up to defend UMG and saying how they dropped the hammer and they dropped the mic and they let Drake know. All I see is some fear. I see that for them to say directly, we do not engage in defamation. Well, Drake never said you did. Drake simply said you allowed your artists to defame me and you promoted it. So that is what, it all comes down to. They use a lot of clever words because it's legalese. But when you get to the heart of the matter, the question is going to be before the judge: did this record label promote what Drake, or I'm saying it's going to have to be determined by a court um, that this was the first defamation, and then once it's been confirmed to be defamation, then it's going to have to be explained: did you promote this? So this may break down into a couple of different court cases, judging by the looks of things. Because, and I just say that not as a lawyer, but just as someone looking at it, it seems to be coming from different directions. So they're either going to have to amend this thing down to get a little bit more focused, or simply have different hearings and different outcomes for each aspect of what Drake is alleging. But here's where it gets really interesting, where it talks about exactly the real reason they believe that Drake is filing this lawsuit. I'll give you a couple of more facts about this song, however, before we get there. It says "Not Like Us" was one of 2024's biggest hits, racking up some 1 billion streams since its release in May of last year, and setting a new record for the most streams of a rap song in a US in a single day. 13 million in 24 hours after the track's release. Now, is there that many hip hop fans in the world? I don't know. That many Kendrick Lamar fans? Is this song that fantastic? I don't know. Tends to me to be a little funny. The numbers look a little funny, but who am I, right? I'm just a regular guy. Um, it says Drake's complaint attempts to do something that could prove difficult in a U.S. court: to treat song lyrics as a form of defamation. U.S. courts have in the past rejected that argument, citing artistic expression as a form of protected speech. Yeah, I can agree in most cases, but when you say someone is a certified PDF, and not only do you do that, but you go as far as to put pictures of the PDF signal on the man's house, you're really, really, really reiterating something unproven, which falls to me under the definition of defamation. Um, it says, seemingly aware of this, the complaint seeks to show legal precedent for treating lyrical content seriously in courts, most notably referring to the Georgia trial of Young Thug on RICO charges, in which the prosecution was going to do that to Young Thug. And hey, another brilliant point. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? If the state was going to use lyrics to prove their case, then shouldn't Drake has every much right to prove his case against, what he considers to be the large state? So we got similar precedents already established. I mean, I can think of some other cases in the news right now. Trump just won a big lawsuit with, I think it was ABC, because they called him an abuser of a deviant nature, shall we say. That hadn't been proven in court. There's been a couple of other statements that have been made that followed up with lawsuits. Alex Jones, another famous case, lost billions of dollars in his whole InfoWars network because he supposedly defamed the families involved in that Sandy Hook incident. And then you got the incident with the ladies in Georgia who sued Mayor Giuliani, got like $148 million or something crazy because of what? Defamation, because he said that he witnessed them and he only merely questioned whether or not what was in those duffel bags. If you guys look up that story, you'll see there's a lot of cases and a lot of history of defamation being proven and unfortunately costing some people some big bucks. So Drake definitely has a case, and I think a very strong one, as we'll start to see as time goes on. But we still have to get to the exact reason that UMG feels that this is really being done. And so we'll look at it here. It says the complaint offers a, let's call it, theory for why UMG may have been motivated to damage Drake's reputation and career. So it goes on to say, by the spring of 2024, UMG understood that the rise of streaming platforms had enhanced the bargaining power of artists. Established artists whose contracts were coming up for renewal or in an improved position to demand higher rates due to the improvement in the visibility of cash flow and risk reduction. The complaint stated, quoted, an article from the Money Flow research blog. Thus, it says, UMG was incentivized to act and, in fact, did act in a manner that to reduce that bargaining leverage in advance of upcoming negotiation with Drake over contract renewal, the complaint alleged. So basically, what they're saying is that UMG had all the incentive in the world to make Drake look bad because they knew that they were coming up for renegotiation of his contract. And that is a interesting theory. I mean, let's face it, that's it's going to be the outcome unless UMG sits down and has a contract that mirrors what Drake had before all that. It's going to raise questions as to whether or not that's true. I'm just saying. Let's go on to see number two. It says Drake claims that UMG may have been trying to prove its worth to Kendrick Lamar. One of the more interesting claims that Drake lawsuit from a business perspective, and that's what I'm saying, guys. I'm strictly talking about from a business perspective, is that UMG was motivated to turn Not Like Us into a big hit as it could because Lamar was in the midst of a trial run of UMG's services when he released the track. Oh, this gets juicy, y'all. So not only did UMG benefit by demoting Drake's brand, but they were also had an incentive to impress Kendrick Lamar, who they were going to be doing some business with in the coming future. So they were trying to ruin one artist's career at the behest and to impress the other artists. I mean, man, you can't make this stuff up. This is going to get interesting, folks. So UMG's got two things here, but the burden of proof falls on the accuser. So it's going to be up to Drake's team to prove all of this. But um, these folks, I mean, I'm sure that when we start seeing the receipts, it's going to add another light to things. Okay. It goes on to say the complaint notes that until 2023, Lamar had been signed to Top Dog Entertainment, which in turn provided the rapper's recordings to Aftermath Entertainment, the Dr. Dre funded label that operates as a subsidiary of UMG and is distributed via UMG's Interscope Records. With that deal concluded in 2023, Lamar signed a new short term exclusive recording and licensing deal with Interscope and an exclusive publishing administration deal with UMPG. So he signed a recording deal with one company and a distribution and publishing deal with UMG. The complaint alleges that Lamar signed a short-term deal with UMG to see if UMG could prove its value to him to promote him more effectively than any other music company could in a compressed time frame. So this was a trial run, folks. So according to Drake, this song was pumped intentionally to get him to the level of stardom that would impress him enough to sign on with UMG. So says this lawsuit complaint. Okay, and it says if UMG successfully proved itself, Lamar would then continue his relationship with UMG through a new longer term contract. On information and belief, the long term deal was consummated in December of 2024. So they said they went on to actually sign the deal. So according to Drake, they pulled it off. They demoted him, sullied his brand, impressed Kendrick Lamar, deal signed, done, finished. And so goes Drake as the law as so they thought. Um, it says he Drake even goes on to criticize the bonus structure. Drake repeats his alleged allegations of payola and goes on to say that Drake's claim that UMG dropped the copyright protections for Not Like Us on YouTube and Twitch to ensure a greater reach. So, in other words, they're saying this is why the record doesn't get immediately copyright striked or anything like that, is because these companies aren't going for that. They're not asking for a copyright strike. They want the song to get played as much as possible. You can't make this stuff up, people. And it's gotten me wondering if Drake really does have a strong case here. I mean, we're going to find out. Um, a lot of people who are saying, "Ha, this is not something that you do in the game." I think they're limited. They're limited by the fact of that this is a business, and there's a lot of business going on behind closed doors that the music is just not going to talk about. So we got to break it down. All right. So and that's what I hopefully we did a little bit of in this video because I really want you guys to understand some of the hype, the things going on behind all the hype. And within this rap battle that Drake supposedly got whipped in is a very strong case for defamation and very good big chance of exposing some really really dirty industry practices, and it might even wrap up Kendrick Lamar in this whole thing if Drake really wants to get gully and throw lawsuit him at him as well, although it would probably just be more for the defamation. The deal between him and UMG, I don't think that really Drake can really have much to do with that. But when it comes to the defamation and when it comes to UMG profiting, I mean, I see a very strong grounds for Drake to make some noise. But that's just my opinion, guys. Let me know what you think. Let's get the conversation going in the comments below. It is I, the real conservative, touching on everything from pop culture to entertainment, a little bit of politics, even if it crosses paths with pop culture and entertainment. So you never know. That's why you want to subscribe to this channel, be my next sub, help me grow this channel, guys. Help me get to 1,000 subs in a month. I would really love that if you guys can help me do that. Really appreciate it. But that's all I got for this video, guys. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.